Welcome to Black History Matters 2024. This is the fourth installment of an educational series produced by the National Abolition Hall of Fame and Museum. These short educational videos are meant to provide an introduction to topics important to our understanding of Black American history, but also the larger history of the African diaspora across the Americas and the world. I'm pleased to welcome you to today's episode, Power of the Pen, celebrating influential books by Black authors. Literature is a highly influential and powerful medium. As the phrase goes, the pen is mightier than the sword. Writers of various different identities have used their writing skills to write about their experiences and further their causes. The influence of Black authors in the United States has been profound and far-reaching, shaping the nation's literary landscape and contributing significantly to a social, political, and cultural discourse. I will give an overview of a few authors who have had an immense impact, not only on American literary canon, but also in furthering causes of equality. It is also important to remember that these authors were often risking much by simply writing. During slavery, it was often prohibited for the enslaved to know how to read, and it was difficult for freed men and women to learn. Additionally, in the era of Jim Crow and on, publishers often refused to publish writings by Black authors, and Black authors could be targeted for their beliefs that they espoused in their writing. The first author we'll discuss is Phyllis Whitley, who lived from 1753 to 1784. Whitley was the first African American poet to be published in the United States. She was born in West Africa and enslaved at a very young age before being brought over in the Middle Passage to the United States. Whitley's poetry addressed themes of religion, freedom, and humanity. Her influential work, Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral, published in 1773, challenged prevailing stereotypes about the intellectual capabilities of African Americans and helped pave the way for future generations of Black writers in the U.S. Next, we have Alar Eano, who lived from 1745 to 1797. Equiano, also known as Gustavus Vasa, was a prominent African writer and abolitionist who was born in what is now Nigeria and sold into slavery as a child. He purchased his freedom in 1766 and became a leading voice in the abolitionist movement in Britain. Equiano's autobiography, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Alar Eano or Gustavus Vasa the African, published in 1789, provided a first-hand account of the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade and became a key text in the abolitionist movement, but is also central for our understanding of the Middle Passage through the eyes of someone who underwent it. Next, we have Frederick Douglas, who lived from 1818 to 1895. Douglas was born into slavery in Maryland, but escaped to freedom in the North in 1838. He became a prominent abolitionist, social reformer, and orator, advocating for the abolition of slavery and the rights of African Americans. Douglas authored several autobiographies, including Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, published in 1845, which vividly describes the brutality of slavery and became a seminal work in American literature. Additionally, his speeches and writings challenged the prevailing notions of race and inequality. Following Douglas, we have Ida B. Wells, who lived from 1862 to 1931. Ida B. Wells was a pioneering journalist, suffragist, and civil rights activist, known for her tireless efforts to combat lynching and racial violence in the late 19th century and early 20th century. She wrote extensively on issues of racial injustice and women's rights, using her platform to expose the horrors of lynching and advocate for social change. Wells's influential work, like Southern Horrors, Lynch Law in All Its Phases, published in 1892, and The Red Record, published in 1895, which documented cases of lynching and challenged the prevailing narratives of white supremacy and its legitimization of lynchings. Then, moving into the 20th century, we have Langston Hughes, who lived from 1902 to 1967. Hughes was a poet, novelist, playwright, and activist known for his contributions to the Harlem Renaissance, which was a flourishing of Black art and culture in the 1920s and 1930s. His poetry captured the experiences of Black Americans, celebrating their resilience, creativity, and cultural heritage in a very fraught time. Hughes's influential works include The Weary Blues, published in 1926, Montaigne of a Dream Deferred, 1951, and The Negro Speaks of Rivers, 1921, which exemplify his lyrical style and profound exploration of race, identity, and the human condition. He is followed by Ralph Ellison, who lived from 1913 through 1994. Ellison was a novelist, essayist, and literary critic best known for his groundbreaking novel Invisible Man, published in 1952. In his text Invisible Man, he explores the complex experiences of a young African-American man navigating racism, identity, and invisibility in the mid-20th century of America. His work has had a profound impact on American literature, challenging readers to confront the realities of race and power in society, especially through his very vivid characters like the Invisible Man in his book. Perhaps among the more well-known authors we have Toni Morrison, who was born in 1931 and passed away in 2019. Morrison was a Nobel Prize-winning novelist, editor, and professor whose literary works explore the complexities of Black identity, history, and culture in America. Among her more well-known novels include Beloved, which was published in 1987, Song of Solomon, published in 1977, and The Bluest Eye, published in 1970, which are celebrated for their lyrical prose, symbolism, and unflinching portrayal of the African American experience. Morrison's writings grapple with themes of trauma, memory, and the legacy of slavery, offering profound insights into the human condition and the enduring struggles for justice even after the end of slavery. Last, but certainly not least, we have Lorraine Hansberry, who was born in 1930 and lived until 1965. Hansberry was a playwright and activist whose work explored themes of race, class, and identity in America. Her play, A Raisin in the Sun, which was published in 1959, became the first play written by an African-American woman to be produced on Broadway. A Raisin in the Sun addresses the aspirations and struggles of a Black family living in Chicago's Black Belt and how they confronted issues of discrimination, poverty, and the pursuit of their American dream through home ownership. I hope you're able to draw some information that is useful for your understanding of this era in American history by looking at the lives of these authors and the types of texts that they were producing. Overall, these authors, among many others, have made incredible contributions to American literature and the broader discourse on race, equality, and justice, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate today. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation on Power of the Pen, celebrating influential books by Black authors. On your screen, you will see a link to a Google form. The link is also available in the video description, and it will take you to a survey form where you can leave feedback about your experiences with this video. Your feedback helps us plan for future events and to secure funding, so we'd really appreciate it if you can take a few seconds to fill it out. Once again, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you at our next presentation.